Good morning, good morning. So real quick, I wanted to talk about a transitionary period in my life, and I feel this is probably something other brothers are going through or will go through. I want to talk about class. I'm going through a period of my life where I'm transitioning into another class. You know how they say, act your wage, not your shoe size, or act your age, not your shoe size. I'm going through, act your wage, not your shoe size, or act your wage, not your age. And I'm starting to see different things in terms of like how I deal with situations and what I see around me. I've talked to Grinch about this a couple times in different ways, and just seeing how some people some people around me are doing what I consider low class activity, where I'm not mad about the money per se. I'm really mad about the behavior. I'm really mad about and disappointment. Or sorry, I'm not really mad. Sorry, I'm not mad about the money. I'm disappointed in the behavior. So one thing happened was I got into this dog breeding business and working with a brother. And let's just say, even if his story with his wife and going through a divorce and the wife giving away all the puppies and all this other stuff to someplace in upstate New York. So let's say that's true. You didn't protect my interests in terms of investment, and we could have gotten this to something even greater. Let's say you scammed me. That's disappointing, because if all you got was $7 grand, like, you guys see what's in the background or in the foreground there. Like, it may be see-through, but that's all glass. That's a wall there. That glass alone costs 40K for all that glass that's in that building. If somebody scammed me out of $7-8 grand, I'm not saying it doesn't hurt. I'm not saying I couldn't use that money. I couldn't put it somewhere else. But if that's all you got, that's really low class. Because when I think about businesses and certain things that go on, I think about what it could make us. Where I'm looking at, hey, this could make us, that could bring in another 60 grand a year a piece, is where I want to grow the business to. I want to grow the business into something that can be sold later on in life. Things like that. So as I'm transitioning into this, I also see where there's parts where I'm not transitioning. I'm not saying I'm a master's in the universe. I forgot the scale or the names for all the different levels that BGS uses. You have your Pookie and Ray Ray, and then you have your Henry, and then you have your masters in the universe, and then you have your elite, right? But if you were to put it to octane, that would be like 85, 87, 93, or 92, and then 100 octane. So I would say I'm more of like a Henry, high earner, not rich yet. I would say I'm that, but also I have quote unquote Pookie tendencies, because my love for strippers and hoes and shit like that. And even my lack of discipline in other areas of my life, in many different ways. I would say that, hey, listen, I'm not a 92. I'd say I'm a 87. That I think there's an 89 grade. So I would say like I'm a Henry, high earner, not rich yet. I haven't put a lot of my money into like assets like homes or real estate or anything else like that. I'm looking for comfort and stuff like that. But then there's also other things that are around me where I'm looking at what people do, and I'm like, not just looking down on them in disgust, but looking at them in just like, hey, there's a difference. There's a difference between me and you. There's a difference between what you're doing and what you consider okay, and what you're making and what you're making and what you're doing. There's just a difference, and realizing that difference, and then also making plans, because there's no point in realizing. There isn't as much. It's not just that you have to realize it. You also have to understand it, and then move accordingly. So move away from it or whatever, right? So I'm seeing a lot of things around me that are happening with people. And I'm really starting to realize that a lot of this stuff is just low class behavior, where you're seeing people move and do certain or have certain actions, or have how would you say, they're doing things that don't serve them in the long run. They could be better off moving forward, but they choose the low-hanging fruit. They choose comfort or immediate gratification. And again, I can't say that I'm far away from this. I have to put that in there. But I also have to look at, I'm doing things for the longevity of my life, or my time here on this earth. I'm seeing how I'm reacting to certain things. I'm not really mad about certain things. I get more disappointed more than ever. Maybe it's being desensitized by seeing these things and seeing this and being mad in the past. And now I'm just like, oh, okay. It happened, like, sadly, that I expected it to. Damn, shit. It is what it is. But it's things like that, man, where you're just looking at it and you're like, wow, this is I'm moving past it. And I remember at one point in my life, I remember thinking about, like, not being able to feel the same way about a woman, and moving to a state of, yeah, I don't really rock with that, so to speak. And now I'm starting to see where it's more and more where I'm just like, man, I don't feel the same way about relationships, about love. And I've gotten past that point. Now I'm to the point where I'm looking at people that I work with, do work for, or get work done by. And I'm looking around and I'm just like, okay, we are not the same. And understanding what that means, understanding how that affects me on a daily basis and stuff like that. So I'm looking at it and trying to understand this and trying to parse this out. Grinch and I have talked about it, where it's like, it changes your changes like your character, so to speak. And for me, it's class. The word I like to use, the framework I like to put this all in, is moving to a different class. And also, am I fighting to stay in the class that I already am in? Right? Like, am I fighting to stay in the lower classes that I was in before? I've never been, poor or anything. My family was never poor. I got the Nintendo, Super Nintendos. I think I had everything except for an N64. I don't think I had an N64. But I've always gotten, like, PlayStation, ever since PlayStation 1 and up, I've always gotten that. So I grew up in a middle class lifestyle. For sure. Definitely for sure. So I don't remember those days. My brothers and sisters do, but I came along and was born in America, not Jamaica. War-torn Jamaica at the time, really, with all the gangs and stuff that were going on and the political unrest between the two warring parties, and then the gangs that were all caught up in between it and taking sides and stuff like that. I think it was like the People's Party and the JNP or something like that. I forgot. But I didn't grow up in that. I grew up in America. And I grew up, when I was 4, we moved to a better area, Plantation, Florida. We moved to a better area and nicer area. And I grew up there pretty much all my life, like 30-something years in the same house. So I grew up with that level of stability. And just to see some of the things that I see from other people, I'm really starting to look at it from a semi-elitist viewpoint of just people are really doing a lot of low-class things around you. And how is that? And what are you going to do about that? Are you going to continue to stay in these lower classes? Or are you going to move up, move out, move on? And that's one thing that I wouldn't say fighting with, but realizing. And I'm okay with it. I mean, I'm okay with it. All right, with that being said, wish you guys all the best. Something to think about, something to chew on. And yeah, peace. Love you all. Bye. I did want to say one more thing or add to this. Medium Man has a video out where he's going over a guest on Kendra G's show and how crazy the lady looks. But that spurred on, or that reminded me of this class video that I wanted to make. But you start to see how some people are fighting to stay in the same class. This is the woman that says she doesn't need a man. She has all types of funds and everything else like that. But then she, the night before she got on Kendra's show, she was with a guy, having situationships. I don't know if she has a kid or not, but whatever. You're seeing where, you know, people, no matter how much they fight to be in a higher class, better position, so on and so forth, they somehow, some way, they do all that fighting to make a difference, make a change, but then they just return back to their base nature. And that's one thing that I'm seeing even in myself. But seeing and hearing this chick talking about, you know, or Kendra's like, hey, listen, you got a good body and everything else like that. And she runs like a fitness center. This woman runs a fitness center. But somehow she's doing all this and just ending up in situationships and complaining about men that lead with their money, yet saying, hey, I want a man with money. The contradiction in not only the things that you say, but the contradiction in the way that you live your life. And that's one thing that I could say I actually am fighting, is the contradiction of moving to another class, but then still doing low class shit. I can admit that. Anyways, with that being said, I'm really gone. Peace. Love y'all.